Oscar winner Olivia Colman and Fionn Whitehead spoke about shooting a particularly memorable scene between Pip Gargery and Miss Havisham in BBC's Great Expectations. Charles Dickens' adaptation Great Expectations continues this evening on BBC One at 9 p.m. Viewers will be served up a second installment of Steve Knight's gritty version of the classic social mobility story. The show has already marked itself out from previous adaptations with the use of foul language, sex and drug use, which continues tonight. The second episode will also feature a moment between Pip Whitehead, played by Fionn Whitehead, locking lips with Miss Havisham. Last week's opening installment set the scene with Pip hoping Miss Havisham and her ward Estella would help him climb up the social ladder and escape his working-class roots for a better life. Miss Havisham and Estella's cruel lessons continue as the jilted bride presses forward with her sick fantasy upon Pip to punish him and all mankind for being left at the altar by her fiancé. Speaking to media at a recent screening, Olivia said her co-star Fionn was terrified. She went on to say, "It's going to sound weird, but that was lovely to do. It was totally not what I'd imagined, and that's partly why when I read everything I was so drawn to it. I always imagined she was so much older, but when you work it out, she was jilted in her early 20s and 18 or 20 years later she hasn't aged well. But she's still watching sexual tension playing out." Olivia added, "And I love that Stephen goes there with that stuff. I love the fact that she's so mortified when he looks so horrified on the cheek. I loved it. You gave us so many things to play with," she told Stephen. Fionn also reflected on the moment, which saw Miss Havisham give Pip opium to sell for money after the kiss. He said, "I think it was so grimy that she gives him a form of currency after this kind of kisses him. And then here you go and sends him on his way." The Dunkirk and Black Mirror stars said this moment was indicative of the whole relationship and praised the creepy moment as interesting. Addressing how he gave Great Expectations a new lease of life, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen said he hadn't gone out of his way to change the source material. Instead, he wanted to tell the tale without the prudish Victorian straight-laced, buttoned-up morality code Dickens had to contend with in his own time. The writer said, "The way I write, the best way I can explain it. If you read a book during the day and then you go to sleep and dream about the book at night, then the way that I've tried to do anything is like the dream you have about the book. It's informed by everything, the characters and the journeys, but it's a dream." While the show has attracted criticism, Stephen researched the time period and tried to give his version of Great Expectations more gritty realism. The tale really digs into poverty and escaping the rigid class system, asking whether it was possible to break out of the cycle or whether an individual was trapped forever on this predestined path simply by virtue of birth. Those familiar with the novel may be surprised to find Stephen has made some big changes to the story, which audiences will continue to see playing out.